All right, the 9th chapter, which of the Maimer Bati Lagani, 9th chapter, which this corresponds to this year. This is the Maimer. This is the chapter that we're learning this year, huh? In my book, it's page 123. Yes. Hine. We started this yesterday, I think. Hine b'mishkan u'mikdash haya ba'avoda b'havcha chashuch l'nahora in the Beit HaMikdash, which the reason that there was a Beit HaMikdash was to transform darkness to light. It was not for national identity. It was not for political unity. It was not for comfort and for orientation. Those things all could be true. But the main purpose of the Beit HaMikdash was that the whole world should function properly. The world is a creation of God, and God wants the world to be His partner to improve mankind, to improve life. Perhaps if we move this closer on the... It's picking up fine. Good. Wonderful. All right. Lochin, therefore, Kativ, it says, Va'asalim mig asta esita ta krashim. Therefore, it says that you should make the krashim. There were in the tabernacle, there were boards. And these boards constituted the walls of the Holy and the Holy of Holies. The Holy was the place where there was the candelabra and a small golden altar for burning incense, and a table that had the 6 levels on it, that they put this special face bread, that they had lechem apanim, and that they would bake and leave the whole week. And then they change it every week. And in the Holy of Holies were the tablets inside of the ark. And this room that contained these two compartments, these two chambers, was called the Holy and the Holy of Holies, the Kodesh and the Kodesh Kadoshim. The walls were boards, and these boards were from shittim wood, and they were also called board. The word for board in Hebrew is krashim. Now, it happens to be the word for krashim. The keresh is the same letters as the word sheker, which means a lie, and the same word as kesher, which means attachment. So the purpose of the Beit HaMikdash was to change the sheker, the lie of this world. What is the lie of this world? That the world is a separate entity, and that it is separate from God. Or even more, that there is no God. The world is just a separate entity in itself, and it always existed. That's a lie. A lie appears to be true. If a lie didn't have some truth to it, it wouldn't even be a lie. A lie is something that people accept. Somebody accepts. It's a lie. If I come to you and I say, I created the moon, so everyone's going to say, that's not a lie. That's insanity. That man is insane. He's lying. You're lying. You didn't create the moon, right? And no one would think that I did create the moon. Right? On the other hand, if I said I built the Empire State Building, that could be a lie. Somebody did build it. It's just a lie that I did. So a lie has to have a little bit of truth in it in order to be believed. So they made these Kurashim. And the Kurashim took the letters of lying and transformed it. That's the whole purpose. And these Krushim were standing, Omdim. Shenikrim Krushim, they were called B'Shem Omdim, standing. Lochin, therefore, Kativ, it says, Vasita eta Krushim. Therefore it says, you should make the Krushim, Omdim. The Krushim have to be standing. Shenikrim Krushim in the name of Omdim. They're called standing. Why are they called standing? Obviously they're standing. They couldn't be laying down. They wouldn't be making a room. They wouldn't be making a building. If you lay these boards on the ground, they have to be standing. Hu al derech masha mitzvahs, just like the mitzvahs are also called amudim. The reason it tells us that they were standing is because they link the ground with what's above. It's like a pillar. Just like the mitzvahs are also called pillars. Sheteriag mitzvahs d'oraisa, that the 613 commandments of the Torah, the Zayin mitzvahs the Rabbanan, and the 7 commandments of the rabbis are 620 pillars of light. And just like a pillar, it joins the roof with the floor. Liotam ke'echad mamash, to be one. Yesterday, I told you yesterday the terrible story of this wedding hall that the man removed one of the pillars and the whole thing caved in. In Israel, Hine, Kamo Kain, mitzvahs, also the commandments, they are pillars, they hold the world up. She'im mamshichim u'mechabrin, that they draw down and they join, or in Sof, the creator of the universe, the infinite light of God, the creator of the universe, Ima Olamos, with the universe, with the worlds. So that's why the world is a big lie, because the world, there's a little bit of truth to this. The fact is, God did make the world so that it would seem to be separate. And that's what we have to work on, we have to fix up. We say in the beginning of creation, Asher Bora Elokim Lasot, that God created the world in order to Lasot, to fix. God created the world to fix. In fact, that's what He wants us to be partners with Him in, to correct the world. And Adam, the first man that was put into a world that was, it said it was a perfect world. It was created with everything. What does it mean it was perfect? It was perfect because it was everything that you needed in order to serve God. Like if you buy a puzzle from a store, and the puzzle has 20,000 pieces in it. It's a perfect puzzle. All the pieces are there. But you just have to work to put it together. That's what Adam, the first man, he was put into a perfect world. What does it mean it was perfect? That it was, all the pieces were there. Everything was there. As soon as Adam sinned, all of a sudden it added another few million unnecessary pieces. You go to the store and you buy a puzzle, 20,000 pieces, and you open it up and it's got 2,020,000 pieces in it. And you have to figure out which pieces are extra, which pieces are not extra. That's called birurim. That's what the whole world is about. By taking the world, everything we encounter, and use it the way that God wants, it puts the puzzle together. But there's a lot of things that we encounter that we have to ignore. Especially our own attitude toward things. We have to ignore. This is also Masha Korshia Mishkan. Why the boards of the tabernacle are called Atze Shitim Omdim. They're called Shitim wood, and they're standing Davka Lefish, because they join, or in Sof, the infinite light of God, the Creator, with the worlds, just like the mitzvahs do. The commandments join the world with the Creator of the world, and that's also the crushing of the Beit HaMikdash. But the crushing of the Beit HaMikdash, in a way, we're even more so. We'll see. Because that was the center of Judaism. That's center. In Yehu, it's like this. The Yine Kasiv, it says Gar Chayas Kana. It says there's a Psalm 68, and there King David praises God. He says, God, you made all these amazing things. And one of these says the wild animals in the marshes, they cry out to you. Gar cries out. Chayas, the wild animals, Kana, of the marshes, of the swamps. Hine Kana udaka the klipa. The Kana, this stick, the pillar stick, Kana, that means marshes, reeds. But if you take it in a Kabbalistic way, or even in a Midrashic way, kana is a stick. This represents Dacher the Klippa, the masculine aspect of Klippa. We talked about this yesterday. Chayus kana is Nukva the Klippa. Chayus kana is the feminine aspect of Klippa. Now Klippa is selfishness, is this feeling that we are separate from God, or that we are God. That's masculine aspect of this is the thoughts and urges that come into our mind. And the feminine aspect is when we accept it. We accept these thoughts, we accept these. I heard once a saying that says that the difference between a crazy person and a normal person is a crazy person does what a normal person just thinks. Whereas people have thoughts that run through their mind, crazy thoughts. A normal person, the thought runs through his mind for a split second, a millisecond. You don't even want to say it, so ridiculous. But a crazy person thinks, if I have that thought, there must be something to this. Gar chayos kana, that's what it says, that they scream out. The word gar also means to stop, to cut off. You have to cut off at the kana. You have to cut off all these bad thoughts, bad urges, bad nature. Shehu kana the kuf. What does it mean to cut it off? This is the long stick on the letter kuf. We talked before about the letter kuf being the opposite of the letter hey, because it's imbalanced. The letter kuf represents egotism, selfishness, which doesn't care about any balance, or it just totally knocks a person off balance. A person is always thinking about himself, worrying about himself. Kasher, kortin at the kana, when you cut off this stick of the kuf, then there becomes the letter hey. V'hu al derech de chasiv, that's what it says, kana v'suf kamalo. This is what it means, kana v'suf, so it means the same thing. Kamalo, are cut off. U'b'tevas kana of the kuf, when you cut off the leg of the kuf, it becomes a hay. Then you have the word kana, and you cut off the kuf, becomes a hay, it becomes the word hine. The hine, the word hine indicates on revelation. It says a lot of places when you say zeh in the Torah, when it says zeh, it always refers to God. Why? Because even though that this world is really revealed, you can see the world right in front of you. But anybody that thinks for even a moment, even if you know just basic science of whatever it is 100 years ago, when they discovered these things called, or they proposed, there was a thing called atoms. So it ends up that atoms are like 99% empty space, or whatever it is, at best. And gravitational forces, whatever it is, but it's not physical. When you put them all together, suddenly you have a table, you have this. So the world is really made of 99% bluff. It's not really 99. It's almost like a movie. I don't know how movies work nowadays, but it used to be that movies, they have frames. You run the frames fast enough, it looks like there's people. It looks like they're moving. It looks like they're talking. You get interested in them. You get interested in their personality. You see the person on the movie, he gets tied up to the railroad tracks and killed. Everybody cries. But there's nothing going on. It's just a bunch of actors, and even the actors is not really actors. You're just seeing pictures of actors. And the pictures are really not even moving. So really, it's like that's how the world goes. The world is mostly empty. And not only that, what is, you don't really see what is. Your perception, it takes a split second. It takes the time and speed of light for a thing that happens to reach your eyes. And then from reaching your eyes, it takes a little bit of time for it to, right, a fraction of a second for you to interpret it. So you never really see what is. You're always seeing what was a fraction of a second ago. And it's always your interpretation. And even what you do see, it's not there anymore. And it was made of 99% nothing anyway. It was just... So this world is really very, very elusive and confusing. The way we act with it, the way we treat it, is okay. I mean, you can't say the world is elusive, therefore I can steal, therefore nothing really exists. Life is but a dream. Even though there's some people that say that. What really does exist, what really is eternal? The Creator and the Creator's will. That's why a person does a commandment, or a good deed even, is that's eternal. It's something that never stops. It's beyond time. So a person does something with a true value to it, it never goes away. So therefore it says the only thing we can really call zeh and hine, it's here, is only God. Only spiritual things really exist. Fa'az, that's hine. More al-gila, this shows on Revelation. Like it says, Fa'omar bayom hahu, it says on that day, hine Elokeinu zeh. This is God. Hine, behold. In the future, that was what happened in the Holy Temple also. People would go to the Holy Temple and they would see God. They would go there to be seen by God, but they would see God. What it means they would see God, they would see that the world is just a creation. They'd see that reality is infinitely more than what we perceive. They would see it, they would feel it. Or this is revealed light, she'id galeh, that will be revealed la'atid in the future. How does this come? By taking the word kana, the kuf of the kana, which kuf is a bad letter. Kana is this long stick that goes down, that's what makes the kuf bad. And cutting off the inequality of the leg, and that makes the word hine. Instead of kaneh, kuf nun hey, it becomes hey nun hey. The gilui de la'ate, the future in the Revelation, when that's hine Elokeinu zeh, behold, this is God. Hu al yadei, this is by means of our service now. It says that when the Jewish people went across the Yam Suf, it says they said, Zeh keli v'aveo, this is my God. It says that the waters split. In the Torah it says, Vayibaku amayim. It says the waters split, not just the sea split, the river. The waters, Rashi says, all the waters in the world, including all the spiritual levels. All the spiritual world split. What did people see when the spiritual splits? They see the creator of the spiritual. So everybody saw God. Even the spiritual is elusive, is not what the ethereal, doesn't really truly exist. The only true real existence is the creator. What we see is just creation, something that's being created all the time from nothing. And the creator, that's what everyone saw at Mount Sinai, and that's what everyone saw 3 times a year when they would go to the Holy Temple, to a lesser degree than on Mount Sinai. The holy of holies, when the high priest would go in, he would see and feel the essence of the Creator. But in the future, everyone is going to see, everyone will know, as we say in the Aleinu prayer 3 times a day, Yakiru v'yedu kol yishvei tevel, that everyone will recognize and know. What does it say? Yifnu elecha kol rishei oretz, all of the evil people in the world will turn to you, God. They'll realize that all the evil deeds they did was from pure ignorance. Lochi, and therefore, Iker Gilei Asovev, the main revelation of this light of God, this revelation of God, which is called Sovev Kol Omim, which we talked about in the first paragraph of this mimer, that when a Jew, a person, forces himself to do good or forces himself not to do bad, that it reveals Sovev Kol Omim, it reveals God in all the worlds, this level of God, the Ofanam Shachato, the way it is revealed, Shemeir, that it shines in all the worlds equally. In other words, an aspect of the light, which is the creator, not the creation, above the spiritual. This revelation Yeh will be beguf, in the physical body. La'ativ lavo. That's the idea of amud, a pillar. A pillar stands on the ground and it reaches to the heavens. That was the purpose of the Beit HaMikdash, that this revelation from the heavens should be revealed here in the ground. Have it all. You take it all. There you go. I have more. This comes by means of avodat birurin. This comes by means of our service of refining the world now. Like I said, The world, God made it purposely. The world is like this big, huge puzzle. And when you put the puzzle together, all of a sudden you see one big picture. And the problem is the puzzle has millions of extra pieces in it. The world is an amazing, amazing puzzle. When you put it together, suddenly you see the oneness of God. You see the purpose of the whole business, that why God wants to create a world, what He needs it for. We see it and we feel it. That the fact that the soul, your reddest comes down below, and is put into a body, and an nefesh abahamit, and an animal, natural soul. The yeshnam, and there are common menus, v'ikuvim, and there are many disturbances and obstacles. Rahman and God forbid. Al limud Torah, and learning Torah and doing the commandments. Ra and bad, evil, mitkaber ba'olam atachton, and evil, selfishness, deception, lies are what rules this low world, at least presently. And anyone who doesn't believe me, just look at the United Nations. All of the nations of the world, how they hate Israel for absolutely no reason. They don't even have any reason. Ayim calls that, if so, a person sees the world, and he sees the opposition of the world, and he sees even more so the United Nations inside of himself. All these foreign forces that hate God inside of himself, inside of a person's self. Selfishness and the depression and doubts and anger and lust, etc., etc. You know, how these things rule, lightheadedness, confusion. And Im calls in, despite all the confusion in this world, Eino mitpal mizeh, a person is not affected by this, kalal, at all. He realizes all these confusions of the world, this is for me to fix up. It's not supposed to get me down. God is presenting me with these challenges to transform them. And he works at his work. He considers life to be a job of doing Torah mitzvahs, that every moment he's purifying the world. He's refining. Not only is he not knocked down, but he is strengthened. B'yisron koach, and an additional power, b'derech milchama, in a way of a war. There are people who are mild-mannered, normal workers. Yeah, the guy had a hardware store. All of a sudden, when the time of war, they became partisans. They became fighters. They're fighting for their family. They're fighting for the world. Here, the Rebbe is saying we're fighting for all mankind. And who is the enemy? The enemy is ourselves. The enemy is our attitude. You have to strengthen yourself, va'avoda rabba, with tremendously difficult work. It's very difficult. Very difficult for a person to remain positive. That's called happiness. Simcha. For a person to remain positive, serving God, not easy. Not easy at all. Asher yedua shezeh ikra nitzuach, that this is the main success. What's the success? The success is not that all of a sudden the world suddenly starts to become bright and light, and the sun comes out behind the clouds, and flowers grow up, and all the flowers start dancing, like in the movies. The goal is, in this case, our attitude, the happiness that we have, knowing that the world is a challenge. Shazu atokef v'zurizos ba'avodas Hashem. The person has to have motivation and, what do you call it, happiness, quickness in serving God. Not to think, oh, this is terrible, oh, this is awful, this is the worst, this is the... But to realize that the world is a challenge, and that we have to accept this challenge. Of course, there are some things, God forbid, that a person is supposed to mourn. It should never happen to us. But we find that we mourn, some people mourn more the loss of money than they do the loss of loved ones or dear ones, the loss of their popularity, the loss of their job, the loss of this. A lot of times things happen to us that seem to be the worst, and they're really the best. Sometimes the things that we think are the best, that we really, really want, are sometimes the worst. So we always have to be sure what it is that God really wants from us. But when we do know for sure what it is God wants from us, then we should accept it as a challenge in a way of how do you say, happiness, positiveness, motivation. Someone asked the Lubavitcher Rebbe, what does it mean to be happy? And the Rebbe said, to take it easy. Don't get too excited about the world. Don't get too excited about the bad things. Exactly the opposite. You should be excited about Torah, about the commandments, about doing what God wants. Not an easy job. Hine, by means of this, who yitrona, or there is a better type of light, hanaseh, which is made mibirur v'zichuch, which comes by means of clarifying and refining the darkness. When a person refines his bad things, there are a lot of people that say that I would never give up 1 minute. The people that came out of Russia, communist Russia, whatever, and there was in concentration camps, etc. They said it was the worst possible, you could not imagine it. Said, but I would not give up the experience, the fact that I had the inner power to survive. I would not give that up. The memories haunt me. The experiences have wrought my soul, but nevertheless I overcame it. Right? Of course, there are those that not. Professor Viktor Frankl says, just take an example, the Holocaust. He said that if you ask him, he went through the Holocaust. He said that if you ask me, he said that more people became strengthened in their belief in God from the Holocaust than lost their faith in God from the Holocaust. He said, what is it like? This is like a fire in a big wind. If the fire is small, it gets put out. If the fire is big, then the wind makes it even greater. It's even greater. The terrible thing, the Holocaust can't be, I can't imagine anything worse than there was. I mean, of course, there's terrible things going on. There's also mass murdering going on in the world. But here people were being mass murdered just because of their identity. No other reason. They weren't enemies. There was nothing they could do to say, okay, I'll go on your side. I'll change my religion. I'll believe like you do. I'll be part of you. I'll go against. Nothing they could do to save them. They were just being killed because. So in those situations, there were a lot of people that they went down deep into their soul, and they said, I have to find something, some reason, some goal, some light, something firm that will enable me to survive, a reason to survive. To try to make some sort of a sense out of this whole business is impossible, but to believe there is some sort of sense. Someday I'll figure this out. Someday I'll figure a reason why. But meanwhile, I have to survive. To go into the essence of their soul, other people helped others, etc. I heard a story. In fact, I heard a story directly from somebody who told me from his father that I heard two versions of this story. I heard it from somebody else, but I heard somebody that told me that his father told him that before the war, the Nazis, in the beginning of the war, they wanted to kill people by freezing. They thought that maybe freezing would be the most practical way. They would have big rooms, and they would bring them to way below zero. They would put people in these rooms, and then once they became below zero, it wouldn't require so much if there was insulated properly. It wouldn't take that much power to keep them going. And then they would freeze people. And that's how it would go. So that's what he heard. I also heard another version of this, that it was in the cars when they took Jews to Auschwitz sometimes in the winter, and the cars were really cold. Anyway, whatever it was, there was a young man there that he saw. There was an old man that was really shivering and that he was going to go. So he went and he started to massage this old man, rub him, and to make him move and to rub. And after the journey, or after the whatever the hour of the trial with the refrigerator, which according to which story it was, as the Germans opened the doors and they saw that everybody was dead except for two people, this young man and the old man. And so they decided that it wasn't going to work. It wasn't going to work. They figured, they put all sorts of different people into this refrigerator to see if it would work on everybody. They say it didn't work on the old and it didn't work on the young. So they scrapped the idea. Or according to the second story, when they opened up the doors for the concentration camp, two people were alive. So one person was alive, the old person, because this guy was massaging him all the time and keeping blood going. But the other one that was massaging him, that also kept him alive. So in other words, really he received as much as he gave. So it's the same thing, but a person realizing that the challenges of the world are just there for him to meet and to overcome, to transform. So here he didn't just keep himself alive, he kept somebody else alive. That's the same thing with us. By enlivening the whole world, it keeps us alive, and also it gives us a goal. So the Rebbe says that's what, not to be affected by the coldness and the darkness of the world at all. But we always have to keep it in our mind to be convinced that this is true, that God really does have a purpose for us in the world, and that we are really very important to do this purpose. And that what happens is not by accident. What happens to us is God is making it happen, and He's doing it for us. By means of this is a better type of a light. That's why it says va'amdu raglav. It says that the Messiah, the Mashiach, that his feet will stand on, it says Har HaZeitim. His feet will stand. What does it mean, his feet? Hakimas beit raglaim, that his 2 feet will be equal. It'll be standing. The oath kuf, that the letter kuf, that only has 1 foot. That is all the lies and the falseness of this world. It doesn't stand. And this is the leg of the kuf. We see now, where is communism? Where is Nazism? Where are the Babylonians? Where are the Romans? Right? These were empires. They ruled. They were the greatest. They were on the top. And we see that they fell because it was all a lie. Where are the Jews? Same thing. The Jews are here. And despite all of the difficulties within the Jews themselves and the confusion, but still those people who held on to the truth, they give the true identity to what the Jewish people are. They hold on to what Judaism is, namely to reveal the goodness of the Creator in the creation, that every single instant of the creation is meaningful. The kiyumo, hu, bechad sumcha, the letter kuf, represents lies which are only on one leg. The Eino Kiyum, and it cannot stand for long. On the other hand, the letter Kuf is much taller than the letter Hey. So when it does stand, it looks very impressive. The Hu, the Shikra Lokai, that's what it means, that lies do not stand. Of a Ot Hey, the letter Hey, Hariyesh Beit Raglaim, it has 2 feet, and they're equal. Shehu Madakushtakai, this is what truth stands. And there were a lot of Jews that gave their life for this truth. A lot of Jews that gave their life. So you can say, it didn't stand. But on the other hand, this is what gave, this sacrifice gave, how many Jews sacrificed their lives in the Inquisition, in the Crusades, right? They were given a choice to change their religion. Hitler was one of the first that didn't give the Jews a choice. Here the Jews were given a choice to change their religion. To a certain degree, Stalin also. When Stalin started killing the Jews, he also didn't give them a choice. But Hitler especially, didn't get, up to then, Jews had a choice. If you would change your religion, you'd become a Catholic or whatever, or you become a Muslim, you live. They were Jews that gave their lives rather than deny the truth. And this is what makes Judaism stand. This is what's firm in our soul. V'zeu amdu raglav bebeit raglayim. That's what it means the feet stood with 2 feet. We're soon going to have the holiday of Purim, where all of the Jewish people were willing to give their lives not to deny their Judaism. The decree of Haman was to kill all the Jews. If a person would just say, I'm not a Jew, he would live. All of the Jews, every one of them, said, I'm not going to say that I'm not even going to think that I'm not a Jew. I'm not going to think of saying it. And that's standing firm. But everyone has to do it inside of themselves. Transform the letter kuf, which means selfishness. The klippa of the shell of being separate from God, nasem miresh, which comes from the letter resh, like we said before, the refusal to surrender to the oneness of the Creator and the purpose of the Creator, and you make it into a hay of kedusha. Bezeu amida da atze shitim. That's the standing of atze shitim. And this is a thing that a person does not have to totally redo the whole world. It's a thing that happens second by second, every instant. A person makes a new decision, and if he makes a firm decision, I am going to be an honest person, I'm going to be a truthful person, I'm going to be true to my Jewish soul, then all of a sudden things become clearer, become more happy. More obligations, more responsibility, more, battles. But on the other hand, the battles are done with happiness. You have a new weapon, namely your determination and your happiness to be able to serve the Creator of the universe. Every moment you're serving the Creator of the universe, unbelievable. Standing shows on existence and lack of change. When you're holding on to something firm, the true life changes and the challenges change and the people change, but the goal is the same. That's why the Torah is eternal. Some people say the Torah was given. There was no electricity. There was no cars. There was no computers. There was no science. Now we have science. We can explain. Right? People used to believe in God because they didn't. Now we have science. We can explain that it was, we came from an ape. We came from the Big Bang theory, right? Once people didn't know about the Big Bang. Now they know about black holes and things like that. So we don't need God. Of course, that's ridiculous. Why is the Torah eternal? Because even though all the science has changed and all these other things have changed, but people have not changed at all. Anger is the same anger, depression is the same depression, selfishness is the same selfishness, lies are the same lies, truth is the same truth. You can see maybe one of the most advanced and cultured nations in the world was Germany in the 30s. The most developed, scientific, modern nations in the world, both in science and in art and in philosophy and ethics, morals. These great philosophers, right? Kant and Spiegel and Marx, right? Spiegel was a big master. Nothing personal. Al Yedezeh Midgala Inyan Ani Avaya Lo Sheniti. But through this you can reveal that all of these ideas, they all fall to the side, and you realize that what? I am God, I never changed. The Nira Bamuchash, and the truth remains the truth. We can see clearly, Sha'olam, that everything, the world, that everything in it, Me'alokut, comes from the essence of God. Kitzer, crush him, ondim. That's the whole purpose of the base of Mikdash, were these boards that stand up, that they join the infinite light of God with the world, and they join the world with, like the mitzvahs, join the world with God. Yuva'er, the al yedei avodah, by means of serving God, milamata, from below, kortiyim akana, we can cut off this unbalanced leg of the kuf, the leg was called the kana, the stick is a kaneh, and we make it into Hine, behold, Revelation, Yeshiva Ohr. Suddenly we start to see that all we are is creations. We're only creations. But God wants us to be partners with Him. Yeshiva Ohr. The world is not ours. The world is God's. We have to make it that way. Ani Avaya Loshin, you see, we realize that I am God. I never change. Just like in this world. Truth, honesty, bravery, love, care. These things never change. So also we reveal the source of all these. The essence of God can be revealed in this physical world. That's the idea of the holy temple. And now every Jew is a holy temple to reveal the oneness of God in the whole entire world. But it depends on us to make the decision and to actually do it, to really, truly see our life as a challenge.